This Solar Hunter build will allow you to get insane amounts of super energy, and you'll be able to spam your blade barrages more frequently. I would like to give this person a huge shout out for mentioning this build, and it says, can you make Shards of Galanor build work better? Well, with the amounts of tinkering and thinking about what ways to make this build even better, this build, I got you, homie. Let's start with the Hunter subclass. We're going to be using Blade Barrage, of course, and the base cooldown is 7 minutes and 35 seconds, but with the mods that we have, we're going to be able to decrease the cooldown even more, and with the stats that you're going to need for this build. Let's start with the abilities. For your class ability, you're going to want to use Gambler's Dodge because that is super good in PvE, because whenever you dodge near a target, it would give you your melee ability back. And for the melee ability, you're going to want to use Knife Trick, which scorches targets and also makes them ignite. And for the solar grenade you would need to use is Healing Grenade. I chose to put this because I don't want to die that frequently, so that's why I put Healing Grenade. For the solar aspects, there's two of them. The first one you're going to need is Knock 'em Down. This one is extremely good for this build because it's a Blade Barrage build, and here's what it does. Your Blade Barrages launch more projectiles. And this other part is also good because we're mostly going to be using this for this build. Whenever you're Radiant, final blows with your throwing knife fully refund your melee energy, and you would also be granted 2 fragment slots. The second aspect is On Your Mark. This one is good for the weapons that we're going to be using. Precision Final Blows grants you and your nearby allies increased weapon handling and reload speed for a short duration, and it stacks up to 3 times. Whenever you activate your dodge, it would immediately grant the maximum stacks of On Your Mark, which is times 3. And for this aspect, you'll be granted 3 extra fragment slots, so we'll have 5 fragment slots in total. Might as well we're talking about the fragments. Let's head to the first one. This one is good for your melee and also increasing your damage even more. It's Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and your nearby allies radiant, but it would give you -10 discipline. Your second one is good for getting your class ability recharge rate increased. It's Ember of Singeing. Your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. So we're going to need to have weapons that would scorch targets to proc this fragment non-stop. So that's what we're going to be using for the weapons as well. The third fragment buffs your scorch stacks, and it's Ember of Ashes. You apply more scorch stacks to targets, which you'll have more of an ability to cause ignitions. Your fourth fragment is very good for your Blade Barrage, and it's Ember of Beams. Your solar super projectiles have stronger target acquisition, and you would get +10 intellect. Same thing for the fifth and final fragment. It is also good for your Blade Barrage, and it's Ember of Combustion. Final blows with your Solar Super causes targets to ignite and creates a fire sprite, and it would also give you +10 strength. So now, whenever you cast your super and you'll kill an enemy, they will ignite, and most of your Blade Barrage projectiles will hit the target because of the target acquisition. What's cool about this build is that you do not need any exotics. You only need weapons that have perks that would cause Scorch. But in this video, I chose to put this exotic weapon for the kinetic weapon. I just want to let you guys know you do not need to use this exotic, but I just wanted to use it. And it's called the Conditional Finality. What's cool about this is the weapon perk. It's called Paracausal Pellets. Whenever you land nearly all of your stasis pellets, it would freeze the target. And whenever you land all of your solar pellets, it would also ignite. So the first initial shot is stasis, and the second shot is solar. And for the intrinsic trait, it's called Split Decision. Your dual barrels split into stasis and solar damage. So this shotgun is very good for stunning unstoppable champions. Now let's head to the weapon that you're mostly going to need to use for this build. There's multiple variations of this weapon, but I like this one in particular. It's called the Callus Mini Tool. The perks you would want to go for are Incandescent and Threat Detector. And remember how I told you guys that you would need to have this certain specific weapon because of the perk, which is Incandescent. Here's what it does. Defeating a target spreads Scorch to those nearby. More powerful combatants and opposing guardians causes more Scorch in a larger radius. So whenever you scorch targets, your class ability, the duration is increased, so it'll charge more quicker. So that's why you need to have Incandescent, so you can be able to proc your melee and your dodge at all times to give you the ability to decrease your super cooldown. We'll get onto that later. So yeah, if you do not have the Callus Mini Tool, there are 2 other weapons that you could get. The first one is from Season of the Deep. It is called Bug Out Bag. Of course, it has Incandescent, so be sure to put that on. The second one, you can get it from Ghost of the Deep. and it's no survivors. And you already know it has incandescent, so you can get any of those 3 if you like. But for me, I think the easiest one to get is the bug out bag. Now let's head to the power weapon. There are 2 ways if you want to use your power weapon. 1 is to inflict more DPS, or 2 is to inflict more scorch. But for me, I chose to put DPS, so I put this solar rocket launcher called Apex Predator. And the perks you would want to go for are Reconstruction and Bait and Switch. And the other weapon, if you want to inflict more Scorch, is to have this machine gun called Fixed Odds. And the perks you would want to go for are Feeding Frenzy and Incandescent. The Callus Mini Tool already does the work, so that's why I put a DPS power weapon, just to take care of the majors and the bosses that are going to be in front of me. So what we just covered, you have the ability to stun unstoppable champions with your conditional finality, 2, stun anti-barrier champions because we're going to be proccing Radiant, and 3, we're going to be exploding tons of combatants with your super, and also not missing as much projectiles because of the fragments that we have. And if you guys would like to know what seasonal mods I was using in season 22, so if you guys would like to take a picture, or you guys just want to pause it and just copy it right there, go for it as well. Now, without further ado, let's head to the exotic armor that would give you even more super energy for your blade barrage. And of course, you already knew it from the very beginning of the video, and the exotic armor is Shards of Galador. The perk for this exotic armor piece is Sharp Edges. Your blade barrage hits and kills refund your super energy. It caps up to 50% of your super, so it would be half of your super. The refund depends on the amount of kills and hits, as well as enemies rank. So the higher ranked enemies that are killed, the more super energy you'll receive, but the cap will be halfway. So that's why we have our abilities to even further give us more super energy. Now let's head to the helmet. For the helmet, this is the most important mods that you need for this build. Let me show you. I'm gonna go very quick, but if you guys would like to see the whole armor mods, it would be at the end. The first one is good for your weapons. It's Harmonic Siphon, Dynamo, and Hands-On. For Dynamo, whenever you dodge near an enemy, it reduces your super cooldown, and same thing with Hands-On. Whenever you get melee kills, it would grant you super energy. So those 2 are very crucial. For your gauntlets, the mods you would want to go for are Heavy-Handed, Impact Induction, and Focusing Strike. For your chest armor, you're going to want to go for Melee Damage Resistance, Harmonic Resistance, and Arc Resistance. For your legs, you need to run Recuperation, Innervation, and Solar Weapon Surge. Last but not least are your Hunter Cloak. You're going to want to go for Bomber, Reaper, and Powerful Attraction. And now is the time for you to copy the build for the armor mods if you like. So now, if you have all of the stuff that I mentioned previously, you'll now be able to get your super extremely quick. So here's what you need to do. You're first going to want to use your melee ability. Once doing so, be sure to dodge near your targets non-stop. So you'll like keep meleeing until it runs out. Then you're going to want to dodge near a combatant. Keep doing the same thing, rinse and repeat, meleeing, and dodge. So it's like a melee dodge combo. And let's just say, of course, you run out of your dodge. You're going to want to use your incandescent weapons to get your class ability quicker. So that's the majority of this build. So it's melee, dodge, scorch, basically. So that's how you can be able to get your super very quickly. And if you guys would like to copy the build for yourself, the dim link will be in the link in the description, which I do highly recommend. And here's what stats you need for this build. Of course, we're using a super build, so I do highly recommend getting intellect and also resilience to take less incoming damage. I also do have another Solar Hunter build if you guys are interested. That build allows you to get increased solar weapon damage at all times. If you'd like to check out the video, it will be on the top right of the screen. If you guys enjoyed and like to see more Destiny 2 broken builds, or if you have any builds that you would like me to make in the near future, be sure to let me know in the comments and also subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Take care and peace.